We're going to skip the first item on the agenda. Was the meeting posted?
Yes.
All right, we'll jump to the special one-day licenses.
Commission will now take up the matter of the application for a special one-day license to sell, dispense alcoholic beverages for malt beverages and wine only, or either one. Lixham Zayladet for Saturday, December the 27th, 2008, from 6 p.m. to 12 midnight. The event is the Lowell American Community of Lowell Dinner, to be held at the Hellenic Cultural Center at 41 Broadway.
Is he here? Come up to the speaker, please, up to the podium and introduce yourself. Do you want to do the other two at the same time? The amusement, no? Okay. All right, introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Linkham Selected from Lowell American Community of Lowell.
Is that the same fellow? It is. Okay. Have you ever done this before?
No, this
No?
is the first time.
Okay. All right. If this license is granted, it's your license. It doesn't belong to the Hellenic Cultural Center, and it doesn't belong to the Lowell American Community. It's your license. The license is going to be in your name. Now, usually at the Hellenic Cultural Center, they require you to hire a policeman. Do you have a policeman to work on
Yes,
duty?
we hire a security officer,
Do you hire a policeman or a security officer?
2 security officer.
So you don't have a policeman there?
No, we're planning to hire one.
One, okay.
2 security officer and then
Okay.
1 policeman.
Fine. All right. Even though you have the policemen, the security officers, you are still responsible. And that's what we here at the commission are very concerned about, is to make sure you understand that you are the responsible party. It's your license, and you are responsible for anything that goes on. If a minor gets served, if, God forbid, if somebody drinks too much and should get into it, you are responsible. So hopefully you would have the appropriate insurance in place, and you understand that. Do you have any questions at all?
Yes, I do.
What?
I do understand that.
You do understand it,
Right.
okay? Any questions?
No questions.
Any questions?
None.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the license.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Good
Thank
luck.
you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Do you want to do the amusements? Do you want to go on to the amusements and that? Do it. Go on to the easy stuff.
Commission will now continue with the agenda on public amusement applications for events scheduled at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium at 50 East Merrimack Street. Applicant is Thomas McKay, Mill City Management, Inc. Carleen McDonald is the representative. Application for the 63rd Annual Golden Gloves Boxing Tournament, sponsored by the Lowell Sun Charities, starting with the dates of January 9th, 13th, the 20th of January, January 27th, February 3rd, February 10th, February 13th, and February 17th and 18th of this year, next year, excuse me. There is a show scheduled for Wednesday, January 21st, 2009, Hairspray. That's from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. There will be the Sesame Street Live weekend, starting with Friday, January 22nd through the 24th. That may be Thursday, yeah, I'm sorry, Thursday through Friday and Saturday, and it will include a Sunday as well. A concert, Pink Floyd Experience for Friday, January 30th. Concert, the Phil Vassar, Saturday, February 14th from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. And also in 2009, the Wizard of Oz show for Thursday, February 26th.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Carleen McDonald.
Okay. I know you've been here before us, Carleen. Is anything on here?
No, I have
Anything
no
on here to be
objections.
concerned about as far as the shows? The Sesame Street? Well, I'll be there. Okay. Anything?
No, I'll make a motion to approve
Okay.
the license.
Second the motion.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
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 Thank you.
You're all set. Good luck.
Commission will now take up the applications filed by the Chaotic Wrestling Incorporated. Walter Jamie Jamakowski is treasurer. serve the venue will be the Polish American Vets Hall at 10 Coburn Street. There are 13 scheduled events, starting with January the 9th, one per month, and it's on a Friday. Typically, it's the first Friday of each month, and it'll end on December the 11th, 2009.
Introduce yourself, please.
Walter Jamie Jamakowski.
Okay, Walter, you've been doing these for a while.
Yes, we have.
Haven't had any problems?
No, we have
How
not.
many times have you had to call the police?
Never. We have an officer on
Good,
duty.
that's what we like to hear. Any questions?
No questions.
Any questions?
No questions.
I'll
Make the
take-
motion.
Motion made.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
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 Thanks, guys. Have a Merry Christmas.
Me too.
Thank you.
See, do we-
Why don't I excuse myself at this point, so we can, go back and you fellas can take up the first item on the agenda, so I'll recuse myself.
Commission will now take up the matter of a decision on the disciplinary action as a result of the finding that Tyler Perry Corp., doing business as the Dubliner, 197 Market Street, Lorraine Lucio is the manager of record, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee had violated Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 138, and state and local regulations. Public hearing had closed on November 20th, 2008, on the matter of the misconduct charged by the Superintendent of Police against the Tyler Perry Corp. The date of misconduct was July 24th, 2008.
Good afternoon. Please, for the record, introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, Michael Talty for Tyler Perry Corp.
All right, I guess where we left off was that we were at an impasse as to what would be an appropriate action by this board, or this commission, based upon the findings of misconduct. And I guess my brother and I were at some slightly different opinions. I'll say for the record, I've had a chance to think more about it, and I am concerned about the employees, because realistically, the employees are the ones who end up taking the beating here for misconduct that was committed by the owner. That having been said, I'm not going to excuse the owner for the sake of the employees. I think we had an original proposal by my fellow commissioner for a 3-week suspension. I had proposed a suspended sentence for a year, and I would propose at this time a 3-week suspension with 1 week to serve and 2 weeks remaining for 1 year. And I would ask if that would be something that my brother would consider.
Well, before I give it a second, I just want to put on the record that I think the allegations against Tyler Perry Corp. are very, very upsetting that these type of actions were taking place in an establishment in downtown Lowell. We found that there was a violation, and I really feel that a 21-day closure, not suspended, but 21 days from today, that is what should occur. It should be shut down for 21 days. But I realize that between the two of us, we have a difference of opinion. So in the interest of compromise, I will second your motion that it will be 21 days with 7 to be served and 14 days to be suspended and probation for 1 year.
Could I be heard briefly before the
Public
board,
hearing's
please?
closed.
Commissioner Wyko?
Motion made and seconded.
Okay.
All in favor?
Correct. Favor?
Yes.
Yes.
May I ask, for the board and for the licensee's sake, when do you wish to have this take effect?
The rollback hours are currently in place, correct?
It's not been lifted as of last night.
Well, then I would like it to start today.
Could I be heard on that issue?
Please.
As you know, the rollback hours took place during the lucrative season of Thanksgiving. The business and the employees have had a pretty significant loss as a result of this situation. If the board would see it fit, and I know we discussed this briefly last time, but any type of a stay to allow for some operation of the business to occur before people have to be laid off or people go searching for other jobs would certainly appreciate it. And I do want to be on record as saying that I appreciate the Commission's patience in what's been, and certainly last meeting, what was quite lengthy meeting. And I'd just like to put that to the board if that could be considered. If there could be even a stay for a week would enable them to get on their feet somewhat and plan for this to occur.
I guess my concern, Attorney Talty, is that as much as the employees are important to the community, and I feel bad that they won't go without that they will go without a paycheck, is that this job of this board is to protect the public, not to protect the 10 employees of the Dubliner. We're here to protect the public and to set an example for other establishments that they better not let these illegalities occur on their premises. And I think by continuing to stay a punishment, we're just letting you guys kind of bully us around and say, yeah, well, I want to make some money this week, and next week we'll be closed. I want you closed today. I think you should be. Like I said before, I think it should be harder, but in the interest of compromise, I'm agreeing to what we have agreed to. But I do think it should be today.
I mean, I'll say that I am concerned, only because I do understand that a lot of the employees do rely on tips, and that downtown Lowell doesn't really make a lot of money before 11 o'clock as far as the entertainment and restaurant industry goes. I would ask if my brother would consider having it start at least, I know it's Thursday now, having it run Sunday through Saturday, which would give everybody basically a little bit of time to prepare.
This upcoming Sunday.
Starting Sunday.
Again, in the interest of compromise, I'll agree with that.
All right. Motion made and seconded. All in
Thank you.
favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Commissioner Bayless?
Could I ask Ryan when something?
That's later in the meeting. You want to stay for that? That's fine. That's later in the meeting. That's all I can tell you. Yeah, that's for later in the meeting. Okay. That's for later in the meeting.
All right, where are we here? Need it to- Okay. Next on the agenda.
Commission will now take up the matter of Paul Galakis, who is here, requesting a lifting of his suspension of the Class II license granted and issued to him for the calendar year 2008, license number 580-B, used car dealer Scenic Motors at 220 Tanner Street, rear. Commission voted the suspension effective November 6, 2008. The Office of the License Commission has received communication from the Registry of Motor Vehicles dated November 28, 2008, which outlines a memorandum of agreement between the registry and Mr. Galakis with the condition of a completion date no later than January 8, 2009. And, Mr. Chairman, I requested that Mr. Galakis appear before you to hear your comments on the registry's action.
Introduce yourself for the record, please.
Paul Galakis, Scenic Motors.
Okay. You know, it's a shame that we had to come to this, so let's put the cards right on the table so we're all, you know, right up front with each other. They're giving you until, no later than, records available by October 20,
January 9th, sir.
January 9th, okay?
Yes,
Are you
sir.
gonna be ready by then?
Yes, I'm just about ready now. I have a letter from the Registry of Motor Vehicles, which states memorandum of agreement, which restores Scenic Motors' good standing with the RMV.
Okay.
If you'd like to,
I think we have that, don't we? We have that.
that was the
Okay.
compliance letter that
Okay,
you had
It's a
requested.
shame that we had to come to that, okay? You know, it always seems like you try to work things out, and you know, you gotta end up being the mean guy, and, you know, so, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I'm gonna put you on notice, hopefully I'm gonna make a motion that we restore your license,
Yes, sir.
and if you're in compliance by the time that the letter, January 9th,
Yes.
you're not in compliance
Yes.
by then, we will be taking a vote to cancel your license. It's that simple. We're not gonna be, you know, we got a whole crowd of people, we got plenty of used car dealers in Lowell. God, I don't know how you guys make a living. It seems like there's used car dealer everywhere.
We've been in the same spot for over 15 years.
Okay,
so-
well, this is good,
Yes.
but it hasn't been 15 years you've been doing this. I've been in trouble with the Registry of Motor Vehicles.
It's my first time in
I
front of the board.
know. I was just gonna, because I haven't seen you in here,
No,
and I never
that's cool.
forget a pretty face, you know? All right? So, that being said, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
If you're not in compliance by then, you know, I don't even want, you really don't have to bother coming back in, because I'm gonna tell you how the vote's gonna go, as far as
Okay.
I'm concerned, okay?
Yes, sir.
That's a form of a motion to restore the license and put him on notice that he must be in compliance by January 9th on the letter. Anybody agree with me?
That's fine. Just January 8th is the
8th?
date. 8th.
I'm
That's
sorry.
Just for
Okay.
clarification.
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
All right, I got a second on the motion. All in favor, say yes.
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 Okay, you all set?
Thank you, so I'm
You're
in.
welcome, have a nice Christmas, and I don't want to see you back here.
Okay, thanks.
All right, next on the agenda.
Commission will now take up the application for change of manager for the Club des Citoyens Americains, CCA Club, the all-alcoholic beverage club licensee at 619 Market Street. The proposed new manager is Gerald J. Bagrowski of Lowell.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Gerald J. Begrowski.
Okay, Jerry, my first thing is, how'd you get French out of Bagrowski?
I guess I'm the first Polish
You
manager
look like
we
the
ever had.
likely candidate.
Yeah.
Okay. If the license, have you ever managed a club before?
No.
Never. Okay. Who's the manager of record there now?
A fellow by the name of Armand Laguerre.
Armin. Is Armin around?
Yeah, he's the president.
Is he here?
He's not here, no.
He's not here. Okay. You know, a club operates under a whole bunch of different rules. I hope you're aware of them. A register book at the door. The people that belong to the club must be voting members of the club. You can't have any ancillary auxiliary members or social members, or if they're a member of the club and they're coming into that club and signing people in at the door as a guest,
Yeah.
the person signing them in must be a member of the club, because there is a new sheriff in town, and the state is starting to take a good, long, hard look at clubs, veterans clubs, social clubs, French club, whatever it might be. And they're saying to us, as the commission, people who are members are voting members. They are not members in name only. They are members. They are 100% members of the club. So, you know, you've got a tremendous responsibility. Now, have you ever been in the alcohol business at all? I mean, a restaurant or bar or anything?
Bartender.
You've been a bartender?
Yes.
Where?
CCA Club.
Okay. How many times have you been bagged for serving a minor?
Myself?
Yeah,
Never.
never. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm sure you've worked there and seen other bartenders. Now you are the head honcho, uno number one, up at the top. And believe me, even though if you're home, you're down in Florida on a vacation, wherever you are still responsible for anything that goes on in that club. A minor gets served, somebody gets overserved, or there's an accident or anything like that. So, and I don't say that to scare you. I say that because I think that people like yourself and so many other people, they want to do good. The club raises money, has charitable events, donates to various organizations and whatnot. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. We need people like that. We need people like you that will step up to the plate. But today, society's changed. All of a sudden now it's your fault. You did it, Well, when people come to the club and they have a party or something, they get a birthday party or something, the little girl, my daughter's 18, nobody will know. Give her a sombrero, it'll be all right. And she falls down the stairs.
Exactly.
And guess what? They're never going to stand up and say, you know what, it was my fault. I didn't tell the bartender. I bought the drink and gave it to my daughter so she could have a drink. They're going to sue you because it's your fault. Because God forbid they should own up to what they did. And in the liquor business today, it's throughout the whole system. It's just unbelievable. And any attorneys that you have, will tell you. The liability insurance, which I hope they have on you, some type of liability insurance and whatnot. It's a tough business. We were talking about this earlier today with the mayor. There are students over at the University of Lowell playing with the computer. They can produce a license so perfect that it's almost physically impossible to tell. They have the machines now that read the licenses, and they can produce a license that'll fool the machine. So, you've got to be so aware. So, you know what? It's the old saying. If you don't think they're 21 or they don't hand you that license or answer that question right away, don't serve them. And make sure those people that are working for you, they're not working for the club. They're working for you. Their paycheck might come out of the club, but you know what? They're representing you at the bar. You're the guy that they might be physically handing the drink, but you know what? They're representing you, and it's important that you understand it. It's important that you make them understand it. They sit there, they get a little too friendly with their customers. The customer's a good customer. He's in every Friday night. Just give him a couple of beers. He's going to be okay. Well, you know what? It's just that one Friday night that he gets a couple of beers that's the end of everybody's happiness. So, again, I know I sound very negative sometimes about it, but we want you to understand the responsibility. We want to make sure that all the officers, and I'm the president of this club, I told you to give him a drink. You know what? I'm the licensee of the club, and he's not getting a drink. If you want to get him a drink, you go down and put your name on the license and hang it on the wall. And I mean it, really. And if you have a problem with that, you know what? That's why God invented 911. You pick up the telephone, you call the police department and say, send a policeman up here. And I will guarantee you that the policeman will be so happy to come and see you, rather than have to get caught up in the middle of a fight, to have somebody call ahead of time and say, look, I got a problem with this guy. I got to get him out of here. And they're there to help you. Okay?
Okay.
Any questions?
No.
Okay?
I think you covered everything.
I didn't even know God was in the 911 business.
I'll make a motion to approve the change.
Motion made to approve.
I will second the motion.
Thank you very much.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. You understand, no, do you send it to Boston or do they?
That's what she's going to say.
Do you? Or do they? You do.
I'll send
Okay.
it down.
The secretary sends it to Boston to get approved, okay?
Okay.
Now, tomorrow night, if somebody comes in the club and says, who's the club manager? Who's the club manager?
Gerald Bobrowski.
Who?
Gerald Bobrowski.
No.
Me.
The
Oh, the
club
guy that was on the
manager's the
license.
other guy.
Okay.
Until it comes back from Boston. He is responsible until you get it back from Boston. Then you become the club manager. We have voted your approval, but it has to go through Boston.
They would get that in the mail?
Yeah. Gets it in the mail?
What I'll do is, right tomorrow, I'll mail out the application, a copy of which will go to the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission. In about 2 or 3 weeks, they'll notify the office that, assuming everything is satisfactory with them, that they have approved you, then you become officially the manager of record. So I would say, at this point in time, in anticipation of issuing new license for the calendar year 2009, I wouldn't think your name will be on it in place of Mr. Legari's.
Okay.
Okay?
Just remember, the flip side of that is that when you eventually change out, you're going to be on the hook until it gets approved. So if somebody, steps up and replaces you in a few years. So keep it in
Okay.
mind.
All right,
thank
thank
you.
you, sir. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, God did invent 911.
Commission will now take up the matter of the application for change of manager for the East End Social Club of Lowell, Inc., the all-alcoholic beverage club licensee at 15 West 4th Street. The proposed new manager is Mark Brier of Lowell, Mass.
Hi, Mark. Introduce yourself for the record, please.
Mark Briere, president of the East End Social Club.
You're the president.
I've been the president the past 15 years.
How long?
15 years.
15 years. Very good. Good club.
I like to think so.
Okay? And now you're going to take the liquor license besides being president, or if they...
That's correct. Our former manager has retired, and we want to be in compliance.
Okay? And who is the former manager?
Bernard Golden.
Okay? And how many times have you been caught in the sting, or...
We haven't been caught in any
You
sting,
haven't
sir.
been, okay. I'm going to do the short version because I'm going to presume that your hearing works. You understand you got a club license,
Yes, sir.
okay? Everybody that belongs to the club is a voting member. The state is looking at all these clubs now and saying, you can't have these auxiliaries, you can't have social members. They're either members or they're not members. It's that simple, okay? I remind you about the responsibility of having the book at the door, so when people are coming in, to socialize and whatnot, and they want to bring a friend in, they sign them in, okay? I'm sure, hopefully, I don't have to go through the area of responsibility with you, okay? One of the things I should have said to that gentleman that I will say to you that I'm going to have to go on record after for is, you have a club license. Every once in a while, you should walk around your building and look at it and make sure you can't see any beer signs or any type of advertisement for liquor. That is somewhere, someplace, somebody passed a law many moons ago that said, if you have a private club license, you can't have, beer signs in your windows. I don't know that you do, but there
We
is a
don't.
club in Lowell that I've gotten a couple of phone calls on that have beer signs. We'll talk about that later, but, just so you know, that's one of the crazy rules, but,
It's actually one of the CMRs,
is it?
mass regulations.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
it's a mass reg. Okay. Outside of that, do we have any information? I should have asked you on the other one, I didn't.
You may want to speak to me in executive session.
We want, okay.
I'll make a motion for executive session.
Motion made for second, seconded?
Okay, Commissioner Weicker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bayless? Commissioner Casey?
Excuse me. It's 5:30, we'll be back by 25 of, unless Ray talks.
Okay, no, I understand that.
Should we scare Ryan and make our motion and start voting before he gets back to the seat? Thank you.
Okay, we got a motion to reconvene.
Second.
Commissioner Weicker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bayless?
Yep.
Commissioner Cation?
Okay. You have obviously had enough experience in the club, being president of the club, et cetera. I just suggest to you that, as I said earlier about your bylaws and stuff, you want to look at them and make sure that all that stuff, is right on top and up to date with all the new, we attended a seminar on a lot of this, and they're saying, a bunch of clubs decided they were going to have social members or smoking members, type deal, because of the smoking regulations and whatnot, and the state saying, no, you're not going to be doing that. So, okay, so I throw it out for what it's worth, because we had a social club here a couple of hearings ago where, some of it was brought up, and I've received a number of phone calls about various clubs that are not, right on top of it. Outside of that, I don't have any other questions. I think you understand everything I've said. You have any questions of us?
I don't.
Okay?
I have no questions.
No questions.
I'll make the motion to go ahead and approve the transfer.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
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 Thank you, gentlemen.
See ya.
Yeah. And none of the Fireman's Club. Again, the Fireman's Club's got a big beer sign on the side. Yeah. Yeah, can't do it. Okay, next on the agenda.
Commission will now take up the matter of the appearance of Attorney Van Thanen. Attorney Van Thanen? Okay. He's representing the application for transfer of license of the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant from Red Rose Restaurant Corporation, Cameron Kim manager, which is the premises at 716 Middlesex Street, to the corporation known as Vanny Noor Corporation. Vanny Noor is the sole officer, director, and shareholder.
Introduce yourself for the record.
My name is Van Thon Un on behalf of Vanny Noor Corporation.
Okay?
Good afternoon, Board and Commissioner. We were today for the purpose of transfer of the alcohol beverage restaurant license from Red Rose Corporation to Vanny Noor Corporation. However, we not be able to get in touch of the seller, and it appears that he was somewhere in Cambodia. He won't be able to sign the transfer. For that reason, we respectfully withdraw the application for transfer, and in the near future, we're going to submit a new application.
Okay. The only thing I want to, the gentleman that was the manager of record, he's not around, right?
Yes.
How long has he been gone?
From the date of the, I believe a couple months ago, Mr. Commissioner. So we won't be able to get a hold of him. So it appears that in the future, he may not be able to come back to Lowell.
Okay, so now you're operating without a manager of record?
Yes, Your Honor.
We took the license. We already took
We took that, okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
So they're basically
Yep.
going to submit an application
All
for
right,
a new
one,
license.
yeah, and a new
Just
manager of record.
just for the sake of
Okay.
for the public's sake, in terms of what's happened, is that according to the papers on the transfer that Attorney Van Thanen has just requested to withdraw, the business had been sold as of last summer, the end of July. The process of filing the application for transfer didn't come to the License Commission's office till early November. In the meantime, the principal, the sole owner, Red Rose Corporation, had left the country. He's now, as we understand, to be in Cambodia. His return is not imminent, so he was not able to sign the renewal application on the license for the Red Rose. In the meantime, the commission, because of the circumstances of my understanding of the absence of Mr. Kim, the owner, that there was no responsible person there to take care of the day-to-day activity of the sale and service of beverages. From what I also understand is that the current owner, the business operated by Vanny Noor and her husband. We're not serving alcohol,
Okay.
even though the license was still valid and on the premises. The license is now in the possession of the office, the License Commission office, and then that's where it stands right now.
I had forgot about us voting to declare. As long as they weren't serving, no problem. I'll make a motion that, well, what's the problem? What do we want to do? Just continue without a finding?
Just to allow him to withdraw and...
Make a motion to allow them to withdraw.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor, yeah?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
gentlemen.
You'll have you're going to be submitting an application for a new license at that address?
In the near future.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you. You have a nice day.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. No, they're not.
What's happening is that essentially...
The old corporation was sold.
There's a new license. You should approve the new license after the first of the year. The boss and the ABC and the Department of Revenue are look at it strictly as a transfer. They don't see it differently.
No, they're not.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yep, go ahead. All right.
Yeah.
No problem.
But no alcohol.
Okay.
Police went and got the license.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was just
All right. Sorry about
2
that.
meetings ago. Yeah.
I had my teeth fixed and, next on the agenda.
Members of the Commission, the License Commission Office on November 28th received a communication hand-delivered by Attorney James Hayes of Cambridge requesting a continuance of a hearing that we had scheduled this afternoon on the matter of the Under Impact Pub and Lounge, Inc., the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 160 Merrimack Street, Unit A, which is the basement. The superintendent of police had filed an allegation of misconduct communication to the License Commission where the licensee was holding entertainment and not permitted to do so because, as it stands right now, the licensee's entertainment license had been suspended until they could prove to the board that there was suitable soundproofing to mitigate any sound beyond the basement level. There is 3 other units in the building, the first floor, second floor, and third floor, I believe, and there's maybe a 4th floor. And apparently the residents on the top floor could hear music in the late hours, early morning hours, while the business was open and operating. So Attorney Hayes was retained by the licensee under impact at the last moment and has requested, because of his schedule, that the hearing be changed from today to the December 18th. He's not here to speak on the matter, but he did call the office yesterday.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say yes.
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 Next on the agenda.
We have an application on file that was filed earlier this week regarding the White Eagle Cafe of Lowell. It's a restaurant licensee at 585 Market Street, all alcoholic beverages. The estate of Michael Riggs is now prepared to go forward with the change of officer, director, shareholder, and manager. It would require public notice and scheduling of a hearing. I would anticipate that that would be possibly a legal notice for publication for December the 26th or the 29th of December for a hearing on the January 8th, 2009.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
We have communication by way of email to the License Commission Office dated December 2nd from Stephen Green of Market Street, Lowell, writing on behalf of the Lowell Downtown Neighborhood Association, requesting hearings on the annual renewal of licenses for the Dubliner and Under Impact Pub and Lounge. On that same note, there is another communication that was received by the office this morning from Kathleen Marson, who is the president of the Lowell Downtown Neighborhood Association, citing that in her communication that there have been multiple complaints identifying patrons who congregate outside the Dubliner as a cause for disruptive behavior to the residents. She also is looking for the licensing board to consider the renewal applications that were filed on behalf of the Dubliner and the Under Impact during the month of November. Traditionally, licensees of record are required by state law, if they wish to retain their license for the new year, to sign their renewal during the month of November. And both businesses had done so in a timely manner. The question is whether the board would consider such a request on the part of the Downtown Neighborhood Association to take up the issue of renewing their licenses. If I may just also add to that, what I've been saying all along, is that state law, unless the licensing board has cause to not renew the license, for example, in the case of like the Red Rose Corporation, the licensee is, a record is parts unknown, even though the person may have signed a renewal, but for the fact that suddenly he leaves the country, his return is unknown, you could conceivably not renew the license. And then I guess the other issue is, on the other side, is whether the License Commission has received sufficient complaints to justify such a hearing, other than the fact that you have already taken disciplinary action, or the board has taken disciplinary action against a Dubliner on recent matters that were brought before the commission by the superintendent, and now whether the board would want to even pursue this even further for the new year, as well as the under impact. The under impact is still scheduled to appear before you for an upcoming infraction, and so it's...
Okay. The under, you know, I'm trying to figure out here, why is the majority of these folks here? Is everybody sitting here because they were going to speak on, if we were going to have a hearing, if we were going to have a hearing on the under impact, are there people here to speak on that? There's one person, okay. Is there any people here to speak on the Dubliner? Yes. Okay, all right. We've already had the hearing on the Dubliner. You know, this is what this is the way I'm going to look at this. The under impact was suspended, and
The entertainment license.
the entertainment license. There's a hearing scheduled for them for the violation. If you go back in the minutes of the meeting, I think this board left it to say they were going to come before us when they were ready. There's no reason why the three members up here have to constantly be the bad guys. There's also no reason in the world why the Lowell Police Department has to be running around downtown telling people, you know, there are people trying to sleep. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I can hear you 5 blocks down the street. That's, you know, I'm not saying that's not a policeman's job, but God, I'd hope we'd have more important things to do than worry about sound. Okay, so I think what this board did, and I stand corrected, is we said to them, you ought to be quiet. There's no amplified music, no entertainment, no nothing until you come before us and say, look, I hired a professional sound guy and this thing has been resolved. And then they're going to be given an opportunity to turn on their, I was going to say record player, but I'll date myself, a DVD player or whatever it is they use, okay? The point being is that we put the ball back in their court. It's up to them. It's their license, it's their livelihood. If they can't soundproof it, if they can't make it so that the folks living in the building can, you know, survive with some peace of mind, then they're not going to get their entertainment. I mean, at least I don't think so, because both of my fellow commissioners voted along with me to tell them, you know, so they're coming in because they violated that. They said that we didn't tell them they couldn't play a radio, as I understand it. That's basically what the complaint is. So to have another hearing and before they come in, you know, I don't want to put you all off, but that'd be crazy. If you want to come in today, that they're going to be in here to speak, you know, on their behalf, be glad to hear anybody that has anything to offer. Myself, I think it's just ridiculous that they left and turned the radio on. It kind of like, you know, throws it in your face, but sometimes that's what you have to deal with. Okay, the Dubliners had its hearing. It's had its finding. I'm only going to speak as as it pertains to a place of business, and that business has been given a week's suspension and what, 14 days? 14 days? And 14 days probation. Now, 14 days suspended for a year. Now, my saying there is that, if I had a business and I got a week closure to think about it, and then I got 14 days hanging over my head, I'd probably say to my employees, you know what, I feel bad if you lose a paycheck, but if I'm not here and you let this thing get out of control, we're all out of business. So we can have sit down and have another Donnybrook. I think that all the evidence has been presented. We've had numerous letters. We've had the police department involved. So as far as I'm concerned, it's not necessary to have another hearing right now. I don't know how you guys feel.
I guess my thoughts on this is that in regards to the Dubliner, we've handed out, they've had 3 separate incidents. They've all been found to violate on all 3, but we've meted out our punishment, and now their license should be renewed for 2009, and if they screw up, we have a mechanism in place with the year probation that'll take care of it. Same thing with the under impact. They'll be here on the 18th of December for their hearing. We'll do whatever we think's appropriate at that time. Their license will be renewed for 2009. If they have some sort of violation, we'll deal with it then. But to just have a hearing on those 2 establishments as to their license renewal, I think would just be kind of spinning our wheels and set a precedent that I don't think future license commissions would want to get into.
I don't think so either. How do you feel, Ray?
No, I agree. I think that Brian has summed it up exactly
okay.
right. So,
all right. Yes? Yeah, go ahead.
right. You're addressing us on your request to have a hearing, but not anything regarding the actual hearing, because we're not having that hearing right now.
I understand. My name is Stephen Green. I reside at 181 Market Street. I am a butter to the places that we were requesting the hearings on the license. The point I wanted to make to the commissioners is that as a resident of the downtown and representing the neighborhood, we have had a lot of complaints.
Okay, let me stop you right now.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to stop you right now. We're not having a hearing on complaints. I'm not having a hearing with respect to any complaints you have.
Okay.
The police have brought us these complaints, and we've already dealt with them.
Okay.
I don't want to hear. If you're going to sit here and second guess our judgment in these 3 complaints and the way we've handled them, there are mechanisms available.
No. I won't second guess your judgment.
You're asking to have a hearing, is what you're requesting.
A hearing because a license is a privilege and not a right of a business to have.
This is true, Stephen. You've been before us before, and I want you to understand something, okay? We number one, we have to understand that we've got a mixture of business and residential, okay? There are people that have quite honestly made mistakes. There's no 2 ways about it.
Okay.
We're not about to. We've heard all the complaints. We've read the letters, various things. Not just these 2 places. And we shouldn't be just talking about those 2 places. Numerous letters and stuff on other places and whatnot in the city that have been problems. We try to work with them. They're taxpayers. They have people that work for them that make a salary, that spend their money in Lowell, that do. By waiving any suspension that's been given or suspended sentence that's been given carries on for a whole year. 3 weeks from now, something goes wrong, we're not going back to square one. It has to be, and the state requires, the ABCC requires that you take these things in steps. You can't just rush into them and close somebody for the first violation. They could appeal it to Boston, and these people have every right to appeal our decision to Boston. I'm very proud of the fact that we've never lost an appeal. We've had others go to Boston who appealed our decisions and they've lost, okay? So we try to make sure that we are sending a message. And in sending that message, we're not just sending it to them. We're sending it as, I think it was Commissioner Cajun said, to all the businesses, to let them know that, you know, next week it might be the guy down the street. You never know, okay? We're here. We want to hear you. We're trying to listen to you. We're trying to take steps, corrective action, and, you know,
Okay.
so I don't want to open it up to a Donnybrook.
I understand, but appreciate the fact that I have been in attendance at many of these meetings for a couple of years now, and that is the reason why the concern that's been raised.
But if you've been here with us, I've seen you sit there, I've seen you take notes. I know how conscientious you are about going back and talking to the downtown group. And I want to send a message to them that we do listen. We do listen.
We
Okay?
do hear that. Thank you very much.
All right, so I think we're going to let that go as that, and we're not going to open that up. You agree? You agree? I agree. Okay.
Communications will be placed on file.
Yep, okay.
Just to quickly go over some executive secretary matters, if I may, before we get into hearings on compliance checks. As we already discussed, the Red Rose Restaurant Corporation did not file a renewal. Also, I should include that now with the fact that the All of That and More business at 167 Market Street failed to file a renewal application. And so that there's no misunderstanding on anyone's part, for the sake of the commission, I just want the public to realize that I made 2 attempts to contact All of That and More, Wednesday before Thanksgiving and Monday, December 1st, to speak with Matt Mason, and both times I spoke with the same individual who was very, very reluctant to divulge anything other than the fact that Mr. Mason was not there.
Okay.
So the fact that Mr. Mason is not there, he was not, I have no idea whether he understood the importance of signing the renewal during the month of November, but he has failed to file that renewal.
My recollection serves correct. We had the same issue with them last year too, didn't we? Where he didn't file his renewal for 2008. We didn't approve it until like February.
Well, I think what it is that you can, under the extenuating circumstances, allow somebody to file and let it go. Okay. But the reason why there's so much importance in far as the office is concerned is when I look at Chapter 138 of the General Laws of Massachusetts, Section 15A, and I look at Section 16A of that same chapter, where it allows for the renewal in a timely manner during the month of November. Failing to do so, licensees at the local level are required to file a 5-page application and have a public hearing to do a legal notice. But the frustrating part about this matter at the local level is that those papers forwarded to Boston, to the ABC, they treat it as a late renewal. So statute-wise, local board has to do all the heavy lifting, but when it goes to Boston, it's much like, if we don't do it that way, then they could say, well, we didn't comply with the statute. But the ABC doesn't have to treat it as anything other than a late renewal. It's a really pain-in-the-neck type of process, particularly at this time of year when all we're trying to do is get everything done and issue licenses for the first of the year. So with Mr. Mason, I don't know what to say other than he didn't sign, and...
You did the best you can, don't worry about it. You know, it all boils down to the same thing. He's making a living at it. They're making a living doing this. There are certain responsibilities. If they're not willing to step up and accept the responsibilities, there's no reason in the world why you should be wasting your time chasing these people. That's crazy. Sorry.
I'll say it also plays into my whole market theory. Maybe there was a
Here's
decision
the
made
market
not to
theory.
renew because,
Oh, man.
there wasn't enough money in it.
Okay. The ABC has also sent notice that they've disapproved a second time this year the Shabana Inc. Application, which is the Bombay Mahal restaurant. The owner had sought to take over shares that his daughter held, and the commission had given reconsideration on September 4th, and that reconsideration came back disapproved. So I just point that out to the board. It's a tax issue. It's very frustrating, I guess, for some business owners to try to deal with the Department of Revenue, but you're compelled to do so if you want to get matters approved by the state. Yeah.
All right, so what happens with their liquor license at renewal time?
Well, he filed his renewal. He intended to file the renewal. Does the commission wish to have this man come before you to take any issue with it, or just point it out that his his daughter is still technically is part of the corporation. He should maybe amend his, see, what he's done is he's also filed with the Secretary of State's office an amendment to the corporation, removing her as an interested party in the corporation. It's a very frustrating issue to deal with.
Well, you know, I look at that like I look at the fellow with the Registry of Motor Vehicles. It's a bureaucracy, but it's amazing how fast that guy got that Registry of Motor Vehicles straightened out when we said to him, look, you don't get, you're closed. Okay, and I mean, I think sometimes we need to motivate people to get things done, okay? He's going to apply for another license. He's either got to and I'm not a lawyer, so but maybe counsel can tell. He's got to redo his corporate bylaws again, right? Or his corporate structure.
He is a unique character in the license list of licensees. In communication-wise, he's very difficult to comprehend.
We have a lot of
understand.
unique characters.
And the situation is, when you deal with the Department of Revenue, you have to pursue it day in and day out because they're not available. They're never available when you want them to be available, and you have to be lucky to get a hold of somebody.
And they never return phone calls.
So you go down and sit outside the office. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, okay?
But the other thing is with this, the BOR is they forward their paperwork out to Western Massachusetts. The ABC, they just said, send it out to the guy out there, or the woman out there in Springfield.
So do we issue him a liquor?
I would wonder whether you would wish to have this person appear before you and question whether his license should be reinstated. Now, here's a case where you might want to consider his renewal under circumstances like his tax issue is unresolved, and it's been unresolved for a couple of years.
All right, then why, we make a motion to have him come in?
Second.
Second.
In favor? Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And just for public record's sake, we have two applications for hearing on December 18th. Mama Jason Zink, Irene Harris, President, who's applying for a beer and wine license for a package store for 558 Gorham Street, and Mr. Jalapeno Inc., Victor M. Hernandez, President, applying for a beer and wine license for a restaurant at 124 Merrimack Street. Okay.
Make a motion, bring him in?
Well,
Have him in, right?
Well, they're already on schedule, aren't
yeah,
they?
they're all scheduled. I just point that out.
Okay.
Now the commission can convene the hearings on the all-alcoholic beverage package store licensees who allegedly failed their compliance check when an individual not of legal age to purchase and consume alcohol had been sold or allowed to purchase, and the superintendent of police has cited 7 licensees in the city of Lowell for failing their compliance. Take one at a time.
One at a time.
First hearing will be for a corporation known as ASDK Ram Corporation, DBA Ramos Package Store, Sanjay Patel, manager at 77 Branch Street.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Joseph Devlin from the DeMarcus Law Offices in Lynn, Massachusetts. I represent ASDK Ram Corporation. With me is Sanjay Patel, who's the principal officer and also the manager of record there. I'd like to say as an aside, I love coming to these. They're informative and entertaining and interesting. He's not so happy to be here. If it helps, he's willing to stipulate. We've read the police report.
Okay, that's
He's willing
fine.
to stipulate to it. With him here is the employee named in the police report, Mr. Simonpon. The facts are what they are. They've identified, now it's up to them to identify what the problem is and how to fix it. They've identified the problem. This was an employee that had been there for 3 days, and they didn't train him well enough. Mr. Patel's brother was there, so there's no excuse that he was there by himself. How they're going to fix it is they've contacted and engaged a company called JBS Professional Services. It's run by a man named Jim Staples. He's a former... That's the guy we saw.
Yeah.
He's a former senior investigator, and it's with the acting deputy. He's investigated a lot of my clients, but I have a letter here from him. I don't know if it's made it in time. It's explaining what he's engaged to do. Not only is he there for server training, what I like about Jim's program is he does it at the location so that he can evaluate the location as far as security, signage, where the alcohol is served, where the cashiers, where the cashier is, you know, security cameras, so he can give it, rather than just sending someone to a tips course that can't put it in context to the store itself. Mr. Patel and his brother and Mr. Simonpone are going to take the course. Anybody who comes on to work after this point will take the course. But I think the big thing for this one is they've engaged him for the next year. JBS does private compliance, and he does it with people who are over 21. So there's no actual violation, but I've met two of them. If they weren't in high school, I was shocked when I saw their driver's license. One kid was 24, he looked like he was about 17. So it's a way of when Mr. Patel's not there, he can make sure that both his brother and his employee and any other employees, because he can't be there forever. He's there a lot, all the time, but he's there a lot, but he can't be there forever. It's also a way to keep him on his toes without actually having a violation. And you know, I obviously know Jim Staples, and I've had him do this for other clients. I don't like getting these telephone calls. I like coming here with a transfer, or everybody's happy when we leave. So if this is a way, it's been successful in the past, if this is a way of preventing it, I tell my clients, spend the money. Now, it's hoped that he's addressed the problem. That's his #1 priority. It's also hoped that the commission will take into consideration that he is doing something proactive when they assess his penalty. At this location, when he's been here, you know, since he's been here, there hasn't been a violation. It's his understanding there wasn't a violation there either, so it's not a place that's known to the minors in the community where they can go get alcohol, and he doesn't want it to become that. So he's here to answer.
Well, that's the problem that we all look at, and that's the problem that the police department will tell you. A place will get a reputation. You know, you think you've got it beat, but it's like throwing that pebble in the pond. And once you've sold to one minor, believe me, he and all of his friends and half the students at Lowell High and the other all know about it. They know who was working, how he was dressed, where they walked, exactly how it took place. It's scripted. It's absolutely scripted. It's virtually almost impossible to stop. I attended a seminar put on by Jim Staples, and I'm very glad to hear that. I would say that, you know, one of the things that we have told people that own stores is there are people out there that do this, professionally do this, because bottom line, he goes home. You know what? If he don't ask for that driver's license and he just sells the six-pack, all the education in the world isn't going to help you. You can have your tips training and your drunk training and your R training and this training, but there's no good. If you don't ask for a driver's license, you're dead in the water. You're dead. There's no excuse for not asking for a driver's license. If you don't look 90, don't come up to the counter. You know, because it's just that simple. And in today, it's such a volatile business. It truly is. This is your first offense at that.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd also just like to say that they're not firing. I have a lot of clients who would fire their clients.
Well, you know, I mean, he had other people in the store that he could have asked.
They don't think it's fair to him because it wasn't a policy, but that's one of Jim's recommendations, which is make it a policy from now on, make it clear. David knows that if there is a violation again, that it's going to be his responsibility, and they are going to fire him, and that includes any of these private compliance
Now, did the police department arrest him?
They did not.
He did not get arrested. Were some of them arrested?
There were no arrests made, but everyone who did sell to the minor is going to be summoned into court on a criminal complaint.
Okay, so he's going to go to court. Okay, which is great. I mean, you know, it probably sounds crazy and I'm being cruel, but you know what? I'd rather see him in court than see my daughter laying on a table being a quadriplegic because somebody sold her a bottle of booze. I'm sorry, but that's just the way I feel. And in the business I'm in, I've seen too many times somebody laying in the front room and they're all looking at each other. Oh, gee, if we only would have known. Well, you know what? You did know. There's thousands of kids every year wrapping themselves around trees and telephone poles because we don't punish them hard enough to make them understand that the rest of their life they can spend in a wheelchair. And it's just, you know, it's just so frustrating. I really appreciate hearing from you. I would say that, you know, I know that you've you've had the sting operation there before, and you didn't get caught?
No.
You never had it in the?
No, never had it.
Okay.
No, I think he's saying he's never been caught. Have you had have you known of a sting operation here before?
Yeah, I had
Oh, you have?
Yeah, they have had,
Yeah,
I'm sure
he's
they
just
have,
saying
I
he
remember
does
that.
not get caught.
We don't have anything on
Well, I
them on
think-
file, do we?
There's nothing. I think, sometimes, like anything, like if you get a bad grade on a test, it makes you work harder. I think getting caught in a sting like this makes you work harder, and I think you have taken the proper steps to improve your business, and I think it will be money well spent, and you won't have to spend on a lawyer to come back here, because you're not going to get caught again, correct?
Nope.
Hey, wait a second.
You're working yourself out of business here, but, no, I agree. I think you're taking the right steps on it. I think my brother summed it up very well. So I'll make a motion with that to place this on file.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor, say yes.
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 Thank you.
Okay?
I think he sent it.
Thanks.
Nick, next on the agenda. What's this one? Oh, that's the way.
Commission now to open the hearing on the complaint against King Liquors, Inc. Bun Song Chun is the manager of record at 326 Fletcher Street. I should note, Mr. Commissioner, just for the Mr. Chairman, for the sake of the record, in 2005, this licensee also had a similar experience of sale to a minor, and was placed on file. That was in June of 2005. This would be King Liquors, Inc.
Okay, introduce yourself for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Attorney James Flood on behalf of King Liquors. I'm here
Okay.
with the manager of record.
Bun Song Chuan.
Okay, have you read the complaint?
Yes.
Do you want to have it read into the record, or you want to waive the reading?
We'll waive the reading.
Okay, that's a good choice. All right. Tell me what happened. Were you there working?
I was out to have to go get dinner.
Out
And,
what?
One of my worker was working for me.
Is he here?
Oh no, she got fired after the incident.
Okay. I'm not going to really hold 2005 against you, but you know what? I mean, you have to understand that. Have you had a sting since 2005?
There have been 3 since then. January of '08, April of '07,
And you didn't get caught up in any of them?
no, we have
Okay.
the letters here.
Do you know about this company, JBS? I mean, I'm not in the advertising business, but do you
No.
know about this? I've told people many times about this. I mean, I've been to a seminar this guy put on. He's a fabulous speaker. I can say that much for him. But the point is that he works from the other side. He used to be the head inspector. He knows all the tricks. He knows all the tricks. You might want to give some thought to hooking up with somebody else and, splitting the cost or something and putting on a seminar. Okay? And you know what? And I can't understand why people that own a package store, they don't have an association where they can say, look, let's get somebody in to train our employees. Because when you're not there, you are there. You are the manager of record. It's your license. So that person that was working for you, you fired, right?
Yes.
And she's got another job someplace, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, you know she has. And you're spending a day here with us because you like us, and you're paying an attorney to stand there
Because you like him.
because you like him. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. All for the sake of a six-pack of beer or a bottle. You don't make that kind of profit. So, you gotta think about it. You gotta think about what I said before. You gotta think about, it's such a volatile business today.
I'll make a motion to put this on file.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say yes.
Yes. Hey, I'll bring up one more thing, as long as you've already got an attorney. Your corporate documents, your corporation needs to be updated with the Secretary of Corporations.
Okay.
You may want to get with your attorney on that and get that straightened out.
Oh, more billable hours.
Thank you.
Go to Qual, Harvey and Walsh.
Okay. Next on the agenda.
Commission will now open the hearing on the complaint against the Compound Tom Market, Inc., DBA 1300 Liquors, Cheng Tel, manager at 1300 Gorham Street.
I just, for the record, I have to recuse myself as I know Mr. Tell and
Okay.
some relationship with him.
Is that a supermarket or is that a beer and wine?
All alcohol.
Okay. Introduce yourself for the record.
My name is Cheng Tel.
Okay.
Compound Tom Market actually has 2 liquor stores at 1300 and in Appleton.
Okay.
So, but this is
I
just,
didn't know
just
that.
one of them got,
All right. How many times have you been caught in a sting?
This is my first offense, sir.
This is your first. How many times have they done a sting at your place of business?
Would say at least 3-4 times during my 6 year in the.
Were you there that night?
I was there.
Okay. Enough said. Do I need to scream and yell at you?
No, I was inside the office doing my paperwork.
Well, who's waiting on the customers?
The individual, my
Your nephew?
it's a family business, yes.
A
isn't it?
family business. Well,
my,
boy, I guess he put that family on top, didn't he?
I was very upset and humble. I'm sorry for what he made the mistake. A big mistake.
A big mistake. Absolutely. A big mistake. If he had sold to a minor and that minor went out, hit a tree or something, you couldn't hire enough lawyers to represent you. Telling you right now, I've said it to the others, I'll say it to you. You know, we got a new sheriff in town, and, you know, hopefully he's going to keep this up, because it's just far too many, just too many violations this time around. I mean, we did really, really well there. For one of the things we had, I think we only had one in the entire city that got caught. This time we've got a bunch of them. And all that tells me is everybody becomes complacent. You have a responsibility. You got a liquor license. It's like having a gun license. It's the same thing. The only difference is one is a bullet in a piece of metal. The other is a bottle with some booze in it. And it'll kill you just as fast.
yeah, statistically, it'll kill you faster.
It's
More
true.
people die from
Right,
alcohol.
from the booze. They want to take the guns away, but they let you sell booze. Doesn't make sense. But anyways, that's beside the point. We won't get into that issue, okay? I strongly advise you, you know, you got the other 2 fellas. There's 7 of you on this list today.
Yes, sir.
There's no reason why the 7 of you can't get together and get to a tips course and try to, you know,
That's
so you're
what
not
I'm-
caught in the middle on this.
That's what I'm willing to do.
Okay. You have anything?
I will give you the same heads up that I just gave the last gentleman. Your corporate paperwork needs to get straightened out and updated as well.
Yes, sir.
All right, get with your attorney, get that done. Okay, I'll make a motion to place this on
We're
file.
going to place it on file. Second the motion. All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Okay. I
Thank
don't
you.
want to see you back here.
Thank you.
It's not that you haven't got a pretty face, but... Next.
Commission will now open the hearing on the complaint against the Ornelas Enterprises, Inc., DBA Ornelas Liquors. David Ornelas is the manager at the all-alcoholic package store licensee at 1012 Gorham Street. Mr. Chairman, Ornelas Enterprises was cited on a similar complaint in February 8, 2007.
Good afternoon,
Okay,
Commissioners.
introduce yourself for the record.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Attorney Brian Correa, and I'm here to represent Mr. David Ornelas and Mrs. Teresa Ornelas. I did have several packages of documents I'd just like to pass out for the Commissioners, just for slight reference while we're discussing the matter.
Do you want the complaint read in the record? Thank you.
Thanks.
I'd like to start out by pointing out that Mr. and Mrs. Ornelas have owned Ornelas Liquors for over 10 years. In those 10 years, this is the second
Pull the
violation.
mic over so they can hear you. I'm sorry.
excuse me.
Yep.
Mr. and Mrs. Ornelas have owned this establishment for over 10 years. During those 10 years, this is only the second violation for which they've been before the board. The last violation, the prior violation being in January 5th of 2007. At that point, they were put on a one-year probation. During that one-year probation, they successfully passed in excess of probably 5 stings. I have the 5 stings documented there before you. We believe there may have been others, but they didn't have the copies of the letters at the time. At the time that this occurrence happened on Friday, October 10th, 2008, it's a rather unusual circumstance, and we're bringing it up not by way of excuse, but merely to put the situation and the occurrence in the proper context for the board's consideration. On that day, Mrs. Ornelas had gone to the store. She relieved her husband briefly. He needed to use the restroom, and after that, he was in the back storeroom. At this time, she was manning the register when she became engaged in a cell phone conversation. It's clearly noted in the police record that she was on the cell phone when the minor entered the store and she sold him the beverage. Unfortunately, the cell phone conversation distracted her by the nature of the call.
That's why there's so many car accidents, people driving, talking on cell phones.
Certainly, but it wasn't just the distraction of being on the phone like a car accident. It was the nature of and context of the call. She was speaking with her sister regarding her sister-in-law's current and ongoing cancer treatment. And immediately after making the sale to the minor and him leaving the store, she realized she had been remiss in asking him for his ID. She immediately grabbed her husband, asked him to stand behind the register and take care of the customers, to desist in taking care of the stockroom as he was doing, and continued her phone call. By the point in which the officers actually entered the store, her husband was manning the register at that time. They're extremely regretful and remorseful for having had this second occurrence. And as I stated before, they don't seek to use this as an excuse, because it's certainly not an excuse. They take as a small liquor store, they don't have any employees. It's Mr. Ornelas, Mrs. Ornelas, and occasionally their daughter helps out. They don't have the luxury of firing one another when something like this happens.
You want to bet?
I do divorces, but that's a different topic.
That's a different attorney, too.
But they take their responsibility to the community very much to heart, and they feel extremely remorseful this happened. As a result of this occurrence, they've increased the ID signage in their store. They've discontinued accepting out-of-state driver's licenses for the fear that they may accept a phony one because of the rash of false IDs that are going around the city, as the Commissioner mentioned earlier. And they've banded together with several other liquor store owners. I know Mr. Santos of Rex Liquors, and they did have a TIPS course, and they all attended the TIPS course. Their TIPS course certifications are appended in the back on the last photocopied page. They've taken extraordinary measures, the measures that they feel will help prevent this from ever occurring in the future, and they'd like to ask the board for their consideration when making their decision regarding this.
Well, again, as I said, that's one of the problems with cell phones. We become distracted, and it's certainly having a sick sister is you're very concerned, and you're not paying attention to the deal. And you've heard what I've said before to the other ones. My biggest fear always was when I took this job way back in the days of Richard Johnson, who used to be the city manager. I said to Dick one day, I said, nobody will ever walk through that door and point the finger at me and say, if you had done your job, my son would be alive today, or my daughter would be alive. I'm sure you, excuse me, you can appreciate that. And I know exactly, my wife and I have shared a family business, work together, eat together, sleep together, be together. It's together. It's together. And it certainly is, an admirable thing. There's no two ways about it. I don't allow that as an excuse that you were talking on the phone. Let's say you've learned a very hard lesson, which I guess that sometimes it's wiser to say, you know, I got a customer right now, I'll call you right back. And we do because once we break our routine, and that's when I talk to these people and try to make them understand that, we get into a routine where we're animals of habit. And minors trying to buy in your store know your routine better than you do. They know exactly when you're going to ask for the ID and, you know, what to do to try to distract you, to break that routine. Banks have a lot of people that train people to watch out for routines, because people come into banks and they try to cash a check and they try to distract the teller from paying attention to the check, you know, and to get them to cash it. And it's a routine, and a teller that does this day in and day out, unfortunately, if you're not constantly training them, you know, they fall into the pitfall, the same as us working in a store. We fall into that routine of this is how we do it, and unfortunately, we make a mistake once in a while.
If I may also, I'd like to add, they also did institute a no cell phones policy while they're behind the register. And obviously, it's something they've imposed upon themselves, and they will refuse to use their cell phone behind the register, so this obviously will not repeat itself.
Okay.
Make a motion just to put it on file.
I'll second the motion. I can see
Motion
where
made
you-
and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Commission will now open the hearing on the complaint against Gerald V. Hickey, Inc., DBA Lucien P. Turcott and Sons, Jan Pereira, manager, at 412, 424 Lawrence Street, package store, all alcoholic.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Yes, my name is Januario Pereira. I'm the owner of Turcott Liquors in Lowell, Mass. I know I caught up in that sting, but my employee, he was disciplined. He was given 2 weeks off without pay. We also went, all my employees, including myself, we all went to get tip certified. We all have our cards for it. And this is my second time I've ever come in here in 25 years of owning a liquor license. So, I mean, it's not a good track record, but should be zero. But I try to do my best. And I have my employee here with me. And he was disciplined by 2 weeks with no pay.
Mr. Pereira had been before you a year ago, March of 2007, I should say.
Okay. That's not good. A year. How long you been at the store?
I've had the store, it's going to
The employee. I'm sorry, sir.
My employer?
This gentleman right here.
Yes, he's been here for 12 years.
You've been working there 12 years?
Yes, sir.
Were you the one caught the last time? Who got caught the last time?
The last time?
You said in March of 2007.
Okay.
Where's that employee?
That employee is not here. That employee that no longer works for me.
That one doesn't work for you. So
No
this
longer
guy's
works.
getting a stay of grace.
Yeah. He's
Minus-
been with me for 12 years. The other employee was only there for about a year,
Okay,
and he's no longer there.
all right,
Now it's just me, him, my 2 sons, and my wife,
okay.
and we're all tip
Well,
certified.
you know, I think I've said what needs to be said,
Yes, sir.
okay? I'm kind of surprised that you've been caught that quick. I'm not saying that tips solves everything.
Okay.
I took the tips course, and I just out of think. One of the things that I think is lacking with tips is more for people that have served the alcohol. You know, restaurants and bartenders and people like that. They do some as far as teaching you as a package store. You know, again, I commend you for, you know, taking the course and for learning it and whatnot. As I said, I took it myself because I was interested sitting here. What do they teach? I will tell you that, and again, it's not a commercial or anything, it's just your own business. This gentleman, Mr. Staples, that we attended the seminar, he is very, very interesting. And he will test you. And you might want to give some thought to just calling him and saying, hey, you know what? I've done the course, I don't need that, but maybe I can hire a guy to come in my store and try and trip him up once in a while. And you know, not being a wise guy, but you know, I don't know what he charges. I'm gonna pull a number out of a hat and say he charges $100 to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth your livelihood.
It's
$100 isn't much to pay. You
very
couldn't
well
buy-
worth it.
You couldn't buy insurance for $100.
No.
You know?
Very
So
likely.
it might be just something to think about. That's all, okay?
Okay.
I'll take a motion on the,
Make a motion to put these on file.
I'll second the motion.
motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hold on, while I have you here.
Well, sir?
Sir?
Excuse me.
While I got you here, you also have to do something about your corporation paperwork.
Yes, sir. I'm already taking care of that, sir.
It was dissolved, yeah, so you gotta either reinstate it or get it transferred to another corp.
Okay, I'm already taking care of that. Thank you.
Okay.
Do they have to give you that one? So when they rewrite the corporation, they have to, that's what the corporation you register, every year you're supposed to file an annual report. Okay. At the end of your fiscal year, whether it's December or mid-year or something like that. When you don't do that, the state doesn't get their fee for the renewals. It trips off the thing. They issue
Right,
they issue a death certificate.
Well, that's exactly what it is. When the Secretary of Corporations dissolves a corp, it's the same as if an individual license holder has just died.
Okay.
So, from a legal perspective, it's a dead person holding a license at the moment.
It's like with the city clerk's office, they have, every 4 years, you have to renew your business certificate.
Yep.
If you don't, it's dissolved.
You're dissolved. You've died. They make out a death certificate, file it with the clerk. Okay. Why, you think they're just interested in the money? You gotta be kidding.
As
Not the state.
As a former employee of the Secretary of State's Corporations Division,
Yeah.
they are all about the general public and not the fees.
Look, they want to make sure that everybody has notice of who the actual corporate directors are. You know, that's what
Next one.
That's what the filing's for.
Commissioner, I'll take up the complaint on the complaint against Kenneth and Manuela Santos doing business as Rex Liquors at 68 Mammoth Road.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Ken Santos. I'm the owner of Rex Liquors at 68 Mammoth Road. Unfortunately, that night, we did drop the ball. That's definitely a big, big mistake. But I do have some documentation here. Over the years, we've been in business for about a little over 5 years, okay? I have all these IDs from this year alone. I have letters of recommendations from the Lowell Police Department over the years. I have these as well. I have also some paperwork that are in the paperwork. It says incident reports from the Lowell Police Department and the University of Lowell. And the reason why I have those is because we are basically in a college area, and my area is a college area, so I'm fully aware of the consequences that I can be in, which is I am right now, okay? So the reason why we have these incident reports is because every once in a while, we do call the Lowell PD, and we do call University of Lowell, and they come down, they take the information, and they have prosecuted, and you're more than welcome to check them out, some of the students, because like I said, it's a college area, it's a college liquor store, and I know exactly how it works. I mean, this is here, and
We should have you come in and talk to some of them when they're going to get the license. Because they don't believe that. But hold that up again for the listening audience. How many have you got there?
I don't know, about 70.
And that's just this year?
That's just this year. And with that, I have sent out IDs to Trooper Paul Pierce and Trooper Patricia Gallen from the RMV in Boston, and I have got letters from them thanking, excuse me, thanking me for, a decent job of caring, it's my livelihood.
Were you working the night this happened?
You know what? I just stepped out, and this is no lie. This is my son. It happened to my son, and believe it or not, all these are caught by my son. Okay? He was trained by me. We are tip certified. And I don't know about this Jim Staples until now, to be honest with you. And I'll be more than happy to get that number, and I'll take something with him. I was horrified because, to be honest with you, I never thought that would happen to me. Because I'm tough on my guys. I really am.
You gotta be.
You know what I mean?
You gotta be.
And he'll tell you.
Is that why he has all those lumps?
I'm sorry?
Is that why he has all those lumps?
No, I love him to death, trust me. I'm not going to stay here and lie to you that, I suspended him and I fired him or whatever, because I didn't do that, okay? Just the phone call that he gave me that night, because I just stepped out. It was Friday night. I went home, grabbed a bite to eat, and he calls me probably 45 minutes later, and I could hear it in his face. I thought somebody, died in the store. I mean, just that alone was, but anyways, he gave me, I had him give me a full report, exactly what happened. And I'm not here to make any excuses. What happened was, a young lady came into the store. She had let's say, a New Hampshire ID. It didn't look right. He refused to serve her. She gave him grief. A minute later, same thing happened to another kid. It was a young man. He had, I guess New Hampshire has a new ID. It's kind of black and white. We don't take those because I've never seen them, so I don't take it. If I don't know it, I don't take it. And the intern for that night that did the sting, I believe he must have witnessed Kurt, my son, actually refusing to sell any alcohol. But, I truly apologize. I really never thought I'd be here, to be honest with you.
Well, you got a clean record.
Make a motion to put on file.
Yeah, I'll second that, and, of all the people who are coming in, you're as a DBA, which means you're putting your own personal fortune at risk if anything goes wrong. Maybe something you want to think about, meaning, especially there was a recent change in Massachusetts law this year. He sells to somebody underage, that person brings it back, somebody else who's underage drinks it, gets into an accident, the person they hit can sue you. They've now extended that now, just infinitely.
Yeah, we're actually going to be changing the whole licenses around because my name and my wife's name is on a license, and that was a mistake right from the beginning because there was issues in the beginning when we bought the place. So
well, it's kept you on your toes, obviously. But,
yeah, obviously not good enough, right?
Well, I admire what you've done. You like I said, I do know the area. I know exactly where you are. I know you're right in the heart of a college town. I'm sure you could write a book about, some of the IDs and the stunts that people try to pull, and hopefully you're going to look at this as a learning lesson. We got a motion to set it on file, and it's seconded, and I will, everybody in favor, say yes.
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 And, send you on your way.
Thank you.
Okay, you've heard all the speeches, so I'm not going to go any further.
I got you. And by the way, I see you guys on Saturday night all the time. Saturday mornings, reviews, so I'm a fan of the show. I don't want to be here again, but I do watch the show.
Well, you can tape this one and
you know
show
what?
your
I would
friends.
like every single bar room, package store, place that sells beer and wine, restaurant, to see the show. I know it's played on, I think it's Saturday morning and Sunday morning. But you know what? If we can send a message to one person, to have them think twice before they sell the people that bottle of booze or that six-pack of beer, we might have just saved one life. And we'll never know it, but we can sit here and sleep better at night.
Thanks again.
Commission will now open the hearing on the complaint against Shiv Chris Corporation, DBA Powers Liquors, Sonal J. Patel, manager at 23 Wood Street, the all-alcoholic package store licensee.
That sounds familiar. Introduce yourself for the record, please.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Jay Patel, president of the corporation and sole owner of the corporation.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to repeat the stuff that already been told. I just want to mention one thing. Mr. Jim Staple, he already trained under him last month, and he's working for me 8 years, and I don't know, God knows how.
I was in your store one day,
Sir?
and that guy right there behind you, okay?
Yeah.
And I watched him in action, and I was so proud of him. He had a young person there that had an ID. And I couldn't help but step back just to watch. I said, this guy's 21, I'm going to eat my shirt. Now, and he had the ID, and he had it in his hand, and I don't know if he remembers me or not, but he had his thumb over the picture. And he had replaced the picture, but it wasn't like a current picture or something. And he gave this guy the most god-awful time I ever saw. And I was so tempted to say, dial 911, get a policeman in here. But I said, that's not my job. That's my job is to hear complaints. But he gave this guy a wherewithal, and the guy refused to sell to him. I went out of the store with him, and I came back in, and I took out my identification and showed it to you and said, I'm proud of what you did. That's why I'm so surprised to see you on this list.
I was so proud of him. He worked for me 8 years, and he did. And if we tell my employee, I tell my employees that if you don't like that picture, you ask the height, you ask the birth date, you ask the expiration, you ask the address. If you don't like it, just don't sell it, because too much money involved in this to take this. And that's what all my employees are trained. And believe me, since this happened, I didn't even sleep those nights. I said, how can it happen to me? We are so strict over there. And we try to do our best. And then I sent him to Jim Staple. And I said, do what you have to do. And I didn't want to fire him because he's one of the good employees. I just gave him 1 month off. And I said, look, this is your treatment. You don't do this again. And I understand he has a family problem since last 8 years. So, I couldn't do anything more than what I did.
Yeah.
I was there by the time.
Well, I know, and if they had any other complaints, other than this was the only one? Okay, we're gonna, you've all sat here long enough and listened to me, scream and yell and everything, and I was so surprised you were on the list. And I say that in all sincerity. I've been around to some of the different stores. This guy was right on top of it that day, and I thought he's gonna back down, because the guy was badgering him, called him some names, everything, and said, but he would not sell to him. And anyways, the point being that I'll take a motion on this one.
Make a motion to put on file.
And seconded, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna put it on file for a year.
Sure.
I don't want to see you again.
No, I definitely don't want to be here with this.
Okay?
Thank you very much. You guys have a great holidays.
Okay.
See ya.
Thank you.
To him. Couple of quick things. Number one is, we've got the Firemen's Club. If we could have somebody from the police department swing by. They've got some beer signs hanging in the window. I received a number of complaints on that. The
Gaelic Club has a
Gaelic
banner
Club
up as
has a
well.
big beer banner hanging outside it.
It's like either a Bud Light or a Miller Light or
Yeah.
Coors. I don't know what, somebody just mentioned it was a big light beer banner. I think those were the only.
I think those are the two,
Yeah.
the main two. And we've kind of gone through that, so they know.
It is, I believe, state regulation and possibly local regulation prohibiting a club licensee, where it has members and guests, to display to the public any beer ads.
Right.
And it's not where it's permissible for a bar, restaurant, or tavern to do so.
And that goes for veterans clubs, because that's how I really originally learned about it, was complaints about the American Legion post that this was a number of years back. If it's a private club, you're not supposed to be able to advertise outside the club. Anything else? Okay, anything going on that we need to know about? Good. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Motion made.
We have anything here from Mr.
Mark.
Goldman? Mark,
Anything you want to bring up? Would you like a liquor license? It's Christmas time. Okay.
Hanukkah, okay. I'll
Motion
second the
made and
motion.
seconded. All in favor, say yes. We're
Yes.
coming
Yes.
home, Benjamin.
Do you have a picture of the guy that used